Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Golden Speaker Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. My name is Rick Starr. I'm for the time being, the president of the local Toastmasters Club, the Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club. The reason I say at present is tonight we're having an election to select our new officers for the upcoming year. It's a very exciting time. We have a guest. Could you please stand up and tell us your name and what brought you to Toastmasters?
Hello everyone. My name is Vasanta Tripathi and I'm from Nepal. I've just been to Fairfield because I've just started my MBA at Maris University of Management. And in my back home country, I had joined Toastmasters, but it was maybe a year before. And I like to continue by joining from the beginning here again. So that's why I'm here today. Thank you.
Welcome. We're very happy to have you as a guest, and you're more than welcome to join Toastmasters. Just one comment: if anyone has a phone which is on, as mine is, please turn it off. At least put it in silent mode. Thank you very much. I'd like to read the mission of this Toastmasters Club. The mission of the Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. We're all Toastmasters, but there's a role in this meeting called Toastmaster, which is the master of ceremony, kind of leads the meeting along. And it's my pleasure to introduce the Toastmaster for this evening, Marko Janek. Thank
you. Good evening, fellow members, Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. It's been my pleasure to welcome you all. And thank you for coming here tonight. This is my first time being Toastmaster, so bear with me. I'm not sure what I'm doing right now. For tonight, on the plan, we have two prepared speeches for tonight. One of them is Denise will give us one from Competent Communication Manual. It's number 5 speech, Your Body Speaks, and it will be talk about from 5 to 7 minutes, and then maybe Santoria Rush. She will give us from special occasion speeches. Number 5 also. Number 5 speech accepting an award. So for tonight, I would like to introduce our videographer for tonight, Dan Craig. Then we have, our timer introduce herself, is Leslie Hollis.
So the timer keeps track of the time. Table topics are 1 to 2 minute speeches. The green light is turned on at 1 minute. The yellow light turned on at 1 minute 30 seconds. The red light is turned on at 2 minutes and remains on until the end of the speech. Prepared speeches are usually 4 to 7 minutes. The icebreaker is 4 to 6 minutes. Green light is turned on at 5 minutes. The yellow light is turned on at 6 minutes. And the red light is turned on at 7 minutes and remains on until the end of the speech. For longer speeches, we ask the speaker how long they would like to be timed. Evaluations are 3 minutes. The green light is turned on at 2 minutes. The yellow light is turned on at 2 minutes 30 seconds. And the red light is turned on at 3 minutes and remains on until the end of the evaluation.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our grammarian for tonight, it's Minoli Niagar. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. I'll be the grammarian for tonight. The word of the day would be attribute. The sentence I've used to explain the word is to regard as resulting from a specified cause. And I will be taking note of good uses of language tonight and if you would like to use the word attribute in your speech, it would be a good
Thank
choice.
you. Our new member is going to have a role of art counter for tonight, Kashif Shabir. I said it right. Would you like to introduce yourself and explain the role?
My role as a counter is to count the number of unnecessary sounds and repetitive words which you might use while you are speaking. The sounds like are, and the words like I mean, well, will be counted in my report. These are fillers which affect the effectiveness of delivering your speech. At the end, I will present my report to you. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Then we have, for our general evaluator, is Susan McCain. Susan, would you like to please stand up and explain your role?
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. I'll be leading and introducing during the second half of our meetings.
And our greeter and joke master is Ryan Prana Miller, and he's not here at the moment, so that's a part of the joke. So we're expecting him a little later. So I would like to now introduce our first evaluator for tonight. That it's not here. So our evaluator for Dennis Gomez is going to be Jean Symington Craig. She's going to introduce our first speaker for tonight, and it should get us more familiar with more about him and about the topic and subject that he's going to talk about. So please welcome Jean.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Dennis is going to be doing project number 5 from the basic manual, the Competent Communicator Manual. Project 5 is labeled Your Body Speaks. His objectives are to use stance, movement, gestures, facial expressions, and eye contact to express his message and achieve his speech's purpose. He wants to make sure he uses all of those things, which comprise body language, smoothly and naturally. And he'll be talking for 5 to 7 minutes. Dennis went to North Dakota State University for electrical engineering. And I'm presuming you got that degree. So he not only went, but he graduated. Important distinction. Yes. Personally, Dennis likes soccer, new foods, beer, drinks, other than beer, I guess, hiking, and gardening. It's a wide assortment of activities there. All right. Dennis's title tonight is Move and Shake in OK. Please help me warmly welcome Dennis Gomez.
Ladies and gentlemen, the night of September 2nd, nobody knew what was going to happen. The morning, September 3rd, 2016, rattled the heart of Oklahoma. It was a beautiful, beautiful sunny and gorgeous morning. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping. Everybody was out, enjoying themselves, if they were up early enough to do so. There was a child playing across the street, nearby a beautiful brick house, playing in the verdant garden. all of a sudden, a massive shake. The earth began to tremble. There was panic spreading all around, like cancer around the town. The bricks began to shudder. The bricks were going to hit the child. Fortunately for the child, a generous young man nearby the child just leapt across and shielded the child from any harm, suffering a gash. Do you think you would want to live in such a traumatic environment on a frequent basis? Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and honored guests. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about the increased correlation between the methods of fracking in Oklahoma that are attributing to an increased amount of magnitude of earthquakes in the state of Oklahoma. We need to consider a lot of different factors, but I'm going to narrow it down to simply the sheer number of wells that have been used in the state of Oklahoma for fracking. And most importantly, we need to consider the exact process. How does fracking happen? How exactly does it work? We need to understand the process in a nutshell and see what is working, what isn't. What are we waiting for? Let's get to the rock of the point. These are earthquakes we're talking about. According to the NPR source, stateimpact.npr.org, as of April 2015, there were already 3,200 deep drill oil wells in the state of Oklahoma. There's been a significant boom in the state relating to the oil industry, which is driven naturally by a lot of the activities we like to do. We like to go on trips. It's understandable. We need to understand what's going on. Where are these oil wells being placed? And what's really happening here that could be causing and attributing to an increased amount of violent earthquakes that are occurring in the state of Oklahoma. We need to understand the whole picture and the whole process of fracking. According to David Suckman of the BBC, the basic process of fracking works like so. Imagine you have an oil well right here. The shale that you know that there's oil or gas, natural gas that you want to be found is well under the earth here. First you start drilling nice and down, vertically down towards the center of the earth. Farther and farther down, you get right to that point where the fission shale is located. Once you reach that point, you drill horizontally towards the shale that you want to crack. Now once you get close to that fission shale, you need something to start cracking and expanding that so you can get the product that you want out. To do this, the procedure of fracking, which is short of hydraulic fracturing, is you pump tons and tons of water down into the abyss of the well. And this amount of water, it's an increased amount of pressure, is caused by so much more volume of the water that's being pumped. at a consistent rate. As this water is pumped, the fission begins to expand. To finish the shale off, you need to use some lube. I'm not talking about Jiffy Lube. And you need to use some sand. This water, by the way, is called slick water. It's not what I put in my hair. This is wastewater. It smells really bad. If I put it in my hair, nobody would want to be in this room right now. Really, it'd be a disaster. After you put all these ingredients into the mixture, the shell explodes, starts to really crack, and you get the product that you want coming to the surface. The oil or the natural gas. After this happens, we're getting a product that we want. Now we have to ask ourselves a question: what's left? What's left in the well itself? It turns out there's a lot of water left in there, a lot of stinky water. This water is causing an increased amount of pressure. And imagine it's by a fault line. When it's by a fault line, that's causing an increased amount of, the magnitude of earthquakes are getting much worse in Oklahoma. In conclusion, we need to consider what's making the move and the shake happen in Oklahoma. We need the solution of not fracking nearby fault lines or taking care of that water and putting it away from fault lines. Remember the girl at the beginning of the story. You don't want her to suffer and move and shake in Oklahoma. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Such a great speech. Actually, I got kind of enlightened about the process of drilling. I didn't know how that works. I was imagining like it was from the movie Armageddon. But I guess they have their own techniques for the blind bird. Dennis, please, timer if you will, time is 2 minutes so we can evaluate Dennis' speech. 2 minutes is up. I would like to introduce now Rick Starr. He will be evaluator for Santoria Rush. She will give a speech from a manual of special occasion speeches. Speech number 5, accepting an award. So please welcome Rick Starr.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Golden speakers, honored guests, and viewers at home. Tonight, Santoria is giving a speech from the Advanced Manual, Special Occasion Speeches. She's doing Project 5, which is accepting an award. The objectives of the speech are to accept an award with dignity, grace, and sincerity, and to acknowledge the presenting organization. In 2027, the 30th Mark Twain Award Show was on its last leg. Everyone, including myself, believed that show to be our last. The Kennedy Center was nearly bankrupt, and as a country we faced yet another war. But that night, I saw one of the most brilliant comedic performances of my life. And I knew at that moment the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor would continue to live on, because someday I would be presenting that prize to the woman I saw that night. So here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to present the 50th Kennedy Center Mark Twain Prize for American Humor to Santoria Rush.
Thank you. Outside of the everyday pleasure of making people laugh, there's no greater honor a comedian can receive than the Kennedy Center Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. I attribute my love for comedy to people who have also received that great honor, and I'm humbled to be in the same light as them. People such as Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Whoopi Goldberg, and the great Dave Chappelle have also been honored on this stage. And to my surprise, I'm also here tonight. If you think about it, the talent of humor, making people laugh, is a very strange talent to have. If I had been born thousands of years ago, someone would have been like, wow, this baby is kind of funny. And another person would be like, no, I don't think so. Actually, it's kind of weird. We probably should kill it. And that would have put an end to any sort of comedy career. But I wasn't born thousands of years ago. I was born in the time I was supposed to be born. And so I'm here being honored for a talent to many is considered an abomination. But as a comedian, something that I've always questioned is, what is it? Laughter. What makes people laugh? We seem to know what everything else is for. We know why we have sex, because it feels good. You can make money doing it. We know why people bring cocaine to parties, because it makes it fun. We even know why people get married, even though it's a terrible life decision. We all know why we do it, because so many people do it. So I really hope. But what is it? That sounds we make that pushes itself out of your stomach, up your throat, and stampedes out of your mouth when something kind of weird goes into your ear? Why do we laugh? Some of you are even doing it tonight. And actually, you should be laughing, because I'm being honored with the bust of Mark Twain, a white man that, if he was alive today, couldn't even make it through airport security because he smoked cigars, and he would refer to all TSA agents as nigger gems. If you opened his carry-on luggage, most likely it'd be full of apple pies and Tupperware full of raccoon meat. But it's that mystery of Mark Twain, also known as Samuel Clemens, that personifies humor and the unknown. And so we honor people who are equally funny with a replica of his ugly upper body. It's funny because if I think back to my childhood, I never wanted to be funny. If anything, I really, really, really wanted to be normal. I wanted to be the type of person that people never laughed at when they talked. I wanted to be the type of person who could tell a dead-end story like, I met April at the market and she said hi. I wanted to be the type of person who could live here on earth and think of it as nothing more than a dusty rock in the sky that we just kind of chill on. But no, as they say, sometimes God doesn't give you what you want. He gives you what you need. And so I guess I need to make people laugh. So thank you for honoring me tonight for those attempts. Good night.
Thank you, Centuria. That was excellent. That was excellent speech. I didn't even know that it exists, this award. I love personally Mark Twain. There's one saying, actually, I want to use the opportunity, one saying from him that I really love. He said, I don't know, he was making a joke or what it is, but it's real. He said, it's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's just what you know for sure that just ain't so that gets you in trouble. So I found out it's really true that in my own life. Thank you, Centurion, once again. Now, please take 2 minutes to evaluate Centurion. 2 minutes. Done. So, timer. We would like to hear from you, Leslie. Which speaker qualified tonight?
Centurion.
So then, I guess we're not going to be any voting for tonight for best speaker. Now, we're transferring to part of the meeting where we're going to transfer the role to general evaluator, Susanna McCann. Please welcome Suzanne to the stage.
In this part of the meeting, we'll have the evaluations of the talks that we've had for the evening. First, I would like to ask Jean. I believe Jean is evaluating Dennis's talk.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home, and particularly Dennis. Really enjoying watching Dennis get better. It's really fun to see that. I'm going to go ahead and use the criteria for the manual, for the project, and comment on his project number 5, Your Body Speaks. The topic selection, did it facilitate body language? I thought it did. Particularly the 2 parts was the part at the beginning, the story with the child and the bricks and the earth starts shaking and then the jump and then the slash, all of that. By the way, was that you?
No,
Okay,
this is for Adams.
I was really dying to know who that was.
On the
But,
things.
but that facilitated movement and gestures and elaborating. And then also the fracking process itself, as he started to tell us how that all worked. I was very intrigued with that, and I enjoyed that visual. That helped me understand. Water and stuff, okay. Preparation, I gave him an extra star on this. Very well researched, lots of facts, details. He gave a quote from an expert, someone from the BBC. So that, he's already ready for project number 7, which is research your topic. That was really well done. His posture, I thought, was poised and balanced. Gestures, again, he had the protection from the bricks and shaking and jumping and the shale. Body movement, purposeful and fluid. I thought he did fine with the sections that he was, it's like I lost part of your manual. I thought he did fine with the parts that he was doing. In terms of shaking eye contact, I had some eye contact. I looked like he was getting some eye contact around the room. Facial expression, it was animated, friendly, genuine. Speech purpose, what are these earthquakes? Why are they happening? I'm going to tell you what the reasons are, and then we're going to talk about a solution. So it was very informational, I felt. The speech organization, really well done. I felt that he said we have a number of wells. We're getting this correlation between well drilling and earthquakes and shaking. Here's the process. Why is that happening? And he even had a call to action. This is something that I really liked, a solution that he pointed out, which was stay away from the fault lines, number one, and number two, get rid of that water that's been put in there, that he took us on the journey of the stinky water that you don't want to put in your hair. Although if it does a good job. So that was really well done. The thing I would suggest for him would be to define key words. There were some words that he introduced without defining them. Fission, shale, and fault line. I knew what they were, but not everybody would. So you need to make sure you're introducing something legalese like that or technical, you want to say what that is. But the research, the summary, the bringing it back to the girl at the end in the title, and then also that solutions, call to action, really well done. Had the red light blinking at me.
Okay, now I'd like to call on Rick Starr to evaluate Santoria's talk.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Golden speakers, honored guests, and viewers at home. It was an honor to present Santoria with this wonderful award, and Santoria was appropriately grateful, appropriately thankful to receive it. Let me go through the points of the manual. How sincere was the speaker in his or her thanks and gratitude? This is very interesting. I thought this was a speech that expressed gratitude, expressed thankfulness, but there was an undercurrent of the darker side of humor. In fact, Santoria seemed to be ambivalent about having the gift of making people laugh. At one time she said if she was born in an earlier time, this talent would have been considered an abomination. And I think that's the key to the ambivalence. Also, Santoria said she wished she wasn't funny. She just wanted to go and have a normal conversation with someone without them bursting into laughter, and you didn't say it, but I know what you mean, at sort of inappropriate places. When people are used to you being funny, when you say good morning, they start rolling on the floor. They think it's the funniest thing you ever heard, and this inhibits you sometimes for just honest heart-to-heart communication. The things I liked about this speech, while recognizing the organization, you want to step further and recognize the list of comedic greats who also won this award. And I did like the way you presented. I did like your ambivalent feelings. I did like it that there was some texture and some subtlety to the speech. And as one of the objectives, you didn't use notes, which was very good. And a couple of suggestions I have to make the speech more effective. You stood behind the stage, and sometimes you spoke a little too quietly. It was hard for me to understand. And just by being behind the stage, the speech had kind of subdued quality. I would suggest you come out from in front of the lectern and add a little more oomph to it. There were some very funny lines in the speech, and I think if you had spoken them a little louder, a little more broadly. But overall, I enjoyed the speech very much, and congratulations on winning the award.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, guests, this next part of our meeting is the table topics section. And in this part, people do extemporaneous talking on topics that our table topics master, whom I'll be introducing in a minute, gives. And this is the part of our evening when guests are warmly invited to also participate. So I would like to introduce our table topics master for this evening, Art Atkinson.
Our joke master has arrived.
I am
Excellent.
already. I'm here. I have 7 jokes. 7.
7?
Yes.
Count 'em.
And always a part of the joke.
Welcome, Orlando.
Thank you. 7.
So tonight's theme is Memorial Day. I have questions connected to that theme. Who would like to be my first impromptu speaker? Kashif, you're being volunteered. So here's the question. Have you in your family or friends or acquaintances had someone who lost his life in military service to his country, either your native country or to USA?
And what did you do with that?
And you have 30 seconds to think about that question.
And what do you want him to do? You want him to tell us about it?
Yeah. Tell us about the impact that it's had on your family, on you, on the families of people who've lost someone in military service.
Okay. The answer to your question is that no, I don't have anyone who has been in a situation where he or she has sacrificed his or her life in military. Having said that, I can quote many examples from my country. I belong to Pakistan, and lately our country is torn by the activities from terrorists, and we have lost 50 or 60,000 lives in those ongoing war and battle between terrorists and our army. So eventually, when it was getting out of control in recent years, our government decided to crack down on those terrorists, and a lot of people, like the sons of different families, they have sacrificed their lives, and they have done this selflessly in order to make us safe, the population safe, and in these 4 or 5 years, it was a terrible fight, but at the end, government was able to take control back from those groups, and now it's relatively peaceful. But we are definitely proud of those people who have sacrificed their lives so that the rest of us can stay in peace. Yeah.
Okay. Marco is volunteering. Is there anyone who has no speaking role today? Our guest. What is your name, sir?
Basanta?
Would you like to give this a try?
Yeah.
So in USA, Memorial Day was developed to honor those who lost their lives in the great wars of the 20th century, World War I, World War II. In fact, de facto, Memorial Day is celebrated by most people as the first day of summer, and it's a celebration. How do you celebrate Memorial Day?
Or do you?
Tell us what you choose to do.
I don't know much about the Memorial Day here in US because I just been here. It's been 3-4 months. So I know the Memorial Day is celebrated last weekend, Monday. Yesterday. Okay. And it's really grateful to remember those persons who sacrificed their life for the country. And for me, it was I celebrate like I was giving one of the exams, so I studied, and we didn't went anywhere. And in my country, Nepal was never been in war, but there are a lot of civil war inside country. And in World War II or so, Nepal is such a country that no even single country ruled our country. So there is not a thing that like our country get independent from someone or some British or something like that. It's great to say such story. But there are other festivals or occasions that we remember that the great soldiers of our country or great people of our country who sacrificed their life for the country. And even we also remember those people who lost their life during the Civil War, 10 years of Civil War in a country, and hope. And now it's quite peace, and we are rebuilding. So that's good.
Yes, Dan.
Okay.
You're a videographer.
Do you know how to do it?
Point it.
You may be aware that there's a lot of controversy about the services and care that veterans returning from current wars have available to them. What is your opinion of what ought to be done for returning veterans who manage to come back with their lives but have compromised health? What is your opinion of what ought to be made available to returning veterans in the United States of America?
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. Just as a quick lead-in, I think I'll explain that when I was in college, the Vietnam War was going, and I was an anti-war protester. After I got out of college with a degree in accounting, my first job was working for the Army. The reason that was so interesting was my first job location was the Pentagon. And I had to interview some of the officers in the Pentagon related to audit topics that we were trying to investigate. I was highly impressed by the people I met there. It totally shifted my mind about what the Army is and what the Army does. But to the point of the question, I think we'd all agree that if anybody has served their country, been wounded, they deserve everything that the country could give them in terms of medical care, job training, whatever support they need to get back into society. It's not easy in many cases for them to get back into the regular world after that traumatic experience. I think the saddest thing that's happening with our veterans is that even though the facilities are there for them to get pretty good care from the VA, as with so many things in the government, we're badly underfunded. And so the waiting list is so long, it's just inhuman. People that desperately need medical care, psychiatric care, wait so long that it just shouldn't be. So I think we've got to put some money behind these good services that these veterans deserve, because they deserve the very best.
How are we doing time-wise? I can't see any clocks.
I know there's no clock. We have, let's do another one. And Mr. Toastmaster, does he have more time to do more?
Okay.
Speaking of.
Do the next.
I'll do my best.
What is the meaning of Memorial Day to you? What do you memorialize?
Good evening, Toastmasters, guests and viewers at home. Memorial Day, depending that just came to the country, this country recently, this Memorial Day for me is the same day like every other day. But in this case, it has a specific meaning where we honor the people who gave their life for something, even though I don't agree with any kind of violence or war. But they believed and they were protecting something. They were fighting for something. And they were willing to give their lives for that. And in that process, they created a history. In my country, I'm coming from Serbia, Eastern Europe. There are many people. Our country actually is the only country that didn't miss any war that happened on the planet. Any war that could happen, you were participating in. We have a lot of people that we lost, really good people. And what could I say about that? What does it mean for me, Memorial Day? It means that it should just stay the memory, and that this kind of thing never happen again. And that's why we honor Memorial Day, so we don't repeat the same mistake we made before, and we do to learn and grow from these experiences.
Congratulations to all our table topic speakers. Ms. Timer, can you tell us which table topic speakers qualified?
All the speakers qualified.
And the names of those?
Kashif,
Kashif,
Basanta, and Mark.
okay, you have 4 choices on your ballot for best table topic speaker. Now I'd like to invite our general evaluator to resume her portion of the meeting.
Thank you. Now I would like to call on the table topics evaluator for this evening, Emery Styron.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. I really like our word of the day. I'm a journalist, and attribution is so important in journalism to tell where you get your information. So I just throw that in because I have the floor. But I congratulate our four table topic speakers for four excellent speeches. And I'll start with Kashif. There you are, yeah. You did a great job of what we call segueing. You didn't have a person in your family or circle of acquaintance who lost their life in military service, but you were able to take your home country of Pakistan, where there has been tremendous loss of life, and speak to that. And so that was excellent, and you delivered that with emotional impact. So that was very good. By way of suggestion, you tended to go back and forth quite a bit, which is normal for someone early in their speaking. So I would just suggest that you calm yourself a little bit, move but not pace, okay? And you all started out talking to Art more than to the audience. You changed that as you went through, but it's something to be aware of. Okay, Basante. How do you celebrate Memorial Day? You were in a similar situation as Kashif, and you just arrived in this country, so all you could do was talk about your country of origin, Nepal. And you did go on to describe how there are remembrances of people who lost their lives in the Civil War and sacrificed their lives for other causes. A suggestion, greet the audience when you take the floor, and just a little table topics trick is try to start off with a opening and then refer to that opening statement in your close, and it just wraps it up in a little neater package. Dan, what ought to be done for returning veterans? The historical note was great, interesting, revealed things about yourself probably most of us didn't know, and really gave it a lot of personal authority. Overall, excellent job. Suggestions, maybe a little more stage movement and vocal variety. And Marco, meaning of Memorial Day. Marco, where are you? Oh, there you are. Marco has these tremendous gifts for our speaker, this winning smile that just brings everybody in, and just utter sincerity that is so believable. So he starts out with great attributes. And he had plenty of compelling content as well, talking about Serbia, the only country that hasn't participated in any war that's coming along, in a strong close on Memorial Day, so we don't repeat the same mistakes of the past. So excellent speech. My suggestions would be the same as I gave to Dan. A little more use of the stage and a little more vocal variety. Madam General Evaluator. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Timer, which of the evaluators qualified stayed within their time limit?
Both qualified, Jean Symington Craig and Rick Starr.
Okay, what about Emery?
Oh, and Emery as well, yes.
Okay, so we have three evaluators, all of them qualified. And I would now like for everyone to take the little piece of paper and vote for the best evaluator this evening. Okay, thank you. Now, I would like to get reports from our various role players today. Leslie, I wonder if you could tell us how the different people did on timing this evening.
For the beginning speeches, the general speeches, Dennis Gomez, 7 minutes, 43 seconds. Santoria Rush, 5 minutes, 33 seconds. For table topics, Kashif, 2 minutes, 13 seconds. Hasanta, 1 minute, 39 seconds. Dan, 2 minutes, 14 seconds. And Marco, 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Speech evaluators, Jean Symington Craig, 3 minutes, 23 seconds. Rick Starr, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And general evaluator, Emery Styron, 4 minutes and 8 seconds.
Okay, thank you, good. And now Manoli, our grammarian, I wonder if you could give your report for this.
Yes. For Dennis's speech, I took note, for all of the speeches, I took note of good uses of language and whether the word of the day was used. A few of the phrases from Dennis's speech that I liked was rattle the heart of Oklahoma, panic spread like cancer, and he used attribute twice. For Santoria, she used quite a few phrases. I was humble to be honored in the same light as them. We all know why we do it. She referred to Earth as the dusty rock in the sky that we live in. And God doesn't give you what you want, He gives you what you need. And for the table topics, Kashif's one of the phrases he used was, we can attain peace through selfless service of others. For Dan, he said that he was highly impressed. It totally shifted my mind as to what the Army does. And Marco said, we honor Memorial Day so we don't repeat the same mistakes of the past. Thank you.
And now Kashif, as our Awa counter, I wonder if you could report on people's use of these filler words.
Yeah, it's a relatively easy report. I have to just count. And yeah, for Rick, he used but once, and once, Xerox 3 times. And Marco used twice, so 4 times, Xerox 1. Craig used Dan used so 1 time. Leslie, Xerox 1. Benoli used and 1 time. Susanna, am I?
Susanna, yeah.
Susanna, yeah. So 1 time and 1 time. Denise, once and Xerox twice. Santoria, so twice, Xerox 1. Art is, I couldn't notice anything for art. Emery, yeah, he's clean. Jean, Xerox 1. So this is my report. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to call on our joke master for this evening, Brian Prana Miller.
Thank you. All right, start the clock. 1 minute. So, a wise person says, "I'm sorry" when they see some problem in a situation, and they someone who's wise, and they're out there and they screw up, and they see their mistake. They say, "I'm sorry." Someone who is angry with somebody, they're yelling at them, they're angry, and they they say something they regret, they say I'm sorry. And then there's if you're wrong, right? If you're wrong and you're arguing with somebody, and they happen to be your wife, you say I'm sorry, and you say I'm sorry because you're wrong, and that's just what you do. So I delivered the ending poorly on that. All right, next joke. How am I doing on time? What's my time like?
One more.
You have 1 minute?
Yeah.
1 minute.
Okay, so
You'll have 30 seconds.
okay, I have 30 seconds. Okay, so what's the best dance of the 17th? What was the best dance in 1776? 1776. Memorial Day in 1776. The Independence. Okay. I got another one. I have some off-color German jokes, but how do you get rid of German fascists? Von by von. Okay. We got one more. Redeeming joke. Von by von. I did the other one. I did Independence, and I think we're just gonna end it with that.
All right. Now I will quickly review and evaluate the evaluators for this evening. First, we have Jean Symington Craig evaluating Dennis. And as usual, Jean gave an excellent evaluation. Jean went point by point through the goals of what Dennis's talk was supposed to have accomplished and told how he matched up with those different attributes of the talk. And she made some good suggestions for him. She made 2 or 3 good suggestions. She was appreciating his use of gestures and was very specific in bringing those things out. My only suggestion for Jean is, I know I called on you a little too quickly. You were still preparing your evaluation, I think. But your first sentence was a little unconnected to the rest of it. You sort of got your bearings a little bit after you got up here. So you might have just taken a minute. It would have been okay to just pause and say, okay, here, and then you're ready to go. Okay, and then Rick's evaluation. Again, Rick also was very coherent and thorough with his points. He went through the purpose of Suntoria's talk, the skills she was supposed to be addressing and developing in her talk. And he also gave a little bit more nuanced than usual appreciation for her nuances in her speech. Appreciating maybe the ironies here and there and the ambivalences and so forth. And he gave several good suggestions for improvement. My only comment about Rick's evaluation is that at some point he was elaborating on Santoria's speech in a way that I thought he was just riffing on his own ideas on the same topic, and I'm not sure if it was a real reflection of what Santoria was saying. And that may or may not have been okay, I don't know, but that was the question mark that arose. But an excellent evaluation, as usual, from Rick. And then Emery. I liked about Emery's evaluation that he really went out of his way to make sure he could find the person he was evaluating at the time. And that made it very personal and connected with the people who had given the table topics speeches. He had a very good balance between praise and appreciation of the good points of the speeches, and also good suggestions for things they could have done better, perhaps. Very constructive suggestions. And here I'm supposed to be evaluating the evaluators, I can't think of something to suggest to Emery that he do possibly differently.
Comb the hair.
That's a good idea, thank you, Emery. Okay. But tonight, an excellent job from all of our evaluators this evening. Thank you. Now I'd like to turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster for tonight, Marco, who will give out prizes for this evening's talk.
And here we are, getting closer to the end of the meeting. We have two prepared speeches for tonight. One of Dennis Gomez, he completed his 5th speech for competent communicating manual via Body Talks. And we have Santoria Rush, she completed 5th speech from Special Occasion Manual, accepting an award. So please give them both. Dennis, would you like to step? Santoria? We don't have for Santoria.
No, it's an advanced manual, so she doesn't yarn over this. She gets the best speaker.
So now we have part where we evaluators and table topics. So I guess the tradition is to do a little drum roll for it. So let's do it first for the general evaluator. Let's do a little drum roll. Our best evaluator for tonight is Emery Tyler. No ribbon. Oh, you'll get these.
Okay.
Just a joke.
Marco, you want to be part of that picture?
Yeah, absolutely.
Waiting for the slide.
And for table topics. It's Marco. I want to thank all of you, and just one word before I pass it on to the Jean Symington Craig. I just want to thank all of you, and I want to really express my gratitude, appreciation for all of you and this club. I think it's such a wonderful place. I really started falling in love with this place. And first of all, I know we are all friends and becoming closer as a family. And we are here to support each other and have fun, enjoy, and also grow and learn from each other and from ourselves. So even though we have such official roles that we have to follow specific rules, I really enjoy, and I think it's first of all, we have fun here, and so yeah, that's what I want to say for tonight. Jean, would you like to-
Thank you.
For love business. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow members and guests, honored guests, and viewers at home. We're now going to conduct some club business, and this refers to our annual officer election process. 2 weeks ago, I gave a speech about the importance of stepping up and becoming an officer of this club, what it can do for you as an individual, what it can do for your fellow members, supporting, and how it helps the club as a whole to function. Fortunately, I got a lot of good feedback from people. I asked for preferences, giving me an idea of where you felt you might be interested in serving. We had a conference call with the nominating committee, discussed all these preferences, weighed, balanced, put things together. And last week, we talked to some of you about some of the things we thought. We got wonderful confirmations from people. I put out an email, I guess almost at the weekend, with the slate that the nominating committee had come up with for recommended officers for the 2017-2018 Toastmaster year, which begins July 1st and continues until June 30th next year. But we still, that's a slate that we put together, but we still need to elect and vote on our officers. And we also have the opportunity to nominate from the floor. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to run through each position. I'm going to give just a 2-sentence description of what that job is. Then we're going to have each position voted on. And if you are not the candidate that was in the nominating committee's slate and would like to run for that office, just nudge the person next to you and say, hey, I'd like you to nominate me for some position, this position. And then that person will nominate, we'll have a second, and then we'll figure out how we're gonna vote. Okay? So that's how we're gonna do this. All right. All right, so let me just back up and go through. So we're going to start at the Sergeant at Arms. And the Toastmasters has a hierarchy of officers, so Sergeant at Arms is the 7th position. It's the officer who really makes sure that our physical plant is in good shape, make sure the room is getting set up properly before our meetings, and then is overseeing the room being cleaned up after the meeting. Of course, we're all here to help on both ends of that, but the Sergeant at Arms takes care of that. Also, if we have a special event, the Sergeant at Arms is involved with helping get the room set up if we're setting it up a little differently. The nominating committee's candidate for this position is Fraser Jones. Do I have any other candidates from the floor that would like this position? Like to run for this position? Okay. I'd like to then ask that, I'm going to make a motion. Oh, first let me ask Fraser, you are willing and able to hold this office?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, then I'd like to make a motion that the club accept Fraser Jones as our next Sergeant of Arms. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Since we don't have another candidate, I'm going to just basically ask, can we just agree that Fraser Jones is our next Sergeant at Arms?
Yes.
Rick, you want to say that? Okay. Our next position, congratulations. Our next position is the treasurer. And the treasurer's job is to, twice a year, make sure we get our dues collected and sent off. It's also, he or she also puts in the new member application, the money for that, and sends around periodically an updated member list, because he or she's the one that knows what that is, because putting the money in current. The nominating committee has suggested Dan Craig as the treasurer for the upcoming year. Is there anyone who would like to be nominated to be the treasurer for next year, in addition to run against Dan? Sounds funny to run against Dan. to be considered for the position in addition to Dan? Okay. All right, well, then with that, I'd like to make a motion that Dan Craig be accepted. Oh, first Dan Craig, are you willing and able to take this position?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Your arms like untwisted from where it was, no, I'm just kidding. Good, thank you. Dan has been treasurer before, so he really knows the ropes on that. So I'd like to move that Dan Craig is our treasurer for next year. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. So what, we'll do a little differently. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I won't do the opposed. If someone really wants to say nay, they can do it. Okay. All right, well, congratulations, Dan. Our next officer is the secretary. The secretary is primarily responsible for taking minutes of our officer meeting, our once-a-month officer meeting that we hold here on the first Tuesday of every month, 6:45 to 7:30. Keeping that in a safe place, so if we all have collective amnesia, I can't remember what we decided, that individual will have the record of what we decided. This individual also puts in the names of the new officers. However, we normally do that because it's a little complicated, but so it's a pretty easy job, pretty much focused around that executive meeting. Our nominating committee selected Leslie Hollis. Leslie, would you agree that you'd be willing and able to assume this position?
Yes.
Okay, great. Do we have anyone else who would like to be nominated to be secretary at this time? Okay. Hearing no other nominations, I would like to move that Leslie Hollis is our secretary for next year.
Second.
And thank you, second. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Sounds like we have a full aye category there. So congratulations, Leslie. It's a great way to get an insight into what's going on at the officer level and moving up. Our next position is our Vice President of Public Relations. Vice President of Public Relations is the person who makes sure that we're getting the word out about Golden Speakers Toastmasters. Very helpful if there's some familiarity with Facebook. We're always open to finding other ways when we're having a special event. In charge of helping get posters and other assorted bits out there. Works generally well with the Vice President of Membership as well, because that's all about getting the members in here. With the club needs to have members constantly, we chew them up and spit them out, and so we always need new ones. That didn't sound very nice, did it? We chew them up and they become much greater people. The videographer is holding his wrist up, which has a watch on it, so I think I know what that means. All right. Where were we? Okay, so the nominating committee selected Marco Yannick for the Vice President of PR. Do I have any other nominations from the floor? No. In that case, I'd like to move that Marco is our Vice President of Public Relations. Do I have a second on that?
Second. Yeah.
Second, great. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And Marco, do you agree, are you willing and able to assume that role?
Yes.
Likes a little suspense. Okay, so welcome Marco, great. Okay. 3 more to go. Our Vice President of Membership is the next position. Vice President of Membership is really the person who works with our guests and helps them become new members. Takes the membership application, helps them fill that out, helps get the money. Our Vice President of Membership is also going to be doing our square and taking the money and ultimately getting that to our treasurer. It's very important. And also our Vice President of Membership does the mentor program. That's the way we have it right now. The nominating committee selected Manoli Nayagar? All right. Now Manoli said to me today that she does, it just came up, has a 2-month commitment where she'll be out of town from July to the end of August. I think that's gonna affect the training, so we need to make sure that we have at least 4 officers at the training, everybody other than Manoli. But I told her that we have had that happen in the past, there's been a little bit of a delayed start. I don't think it's a problem from what I've seen. So I'm still gonna go ahead and put forth Manoli as the nominating committee's vice president of membership. However, if there's someone else who would like to be nominated from the floor, do we have any of that?
I'm not gonna nominate myself,
Okay,
but I will stay 2 months later if that would be, stay as in serve the role as vice
excellent,
president.
yes. Yeah, hold on to the baton just a little longer. Okay,
That's it.
well, great. Okay, so hearing no other nominations, I'd like to move that we accept Manoli for the vice president of membership. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. And so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Great, congratulations. Our Vice President of Education, very key role, does all of these, the matrix every week, keeps everyone scheduled, assigns roles. Very, very key job, needs to be on task all the time. The nominating committee selected Emery Styron for this position. And by the way, Manoli, did you accept that? Are you willing and able to do that? Yeah, okay, okay. Get the pieces. All right, so Emery, are you willing and able to accept that position?
I'm willing.
You're willing?
Yeah.
But you're not able?
I don't know, we'll see.
Oh, Emery. All right, Emery is typically understating himself, but anyway, so is there someone else who would like to nominate themselves from the floor, have someone nominate them from the floor? Okay, hearing no other nominations, I'd like to make a motion that we accept Emery as the Vice President of Education. Second, thank you. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Marco, did you say something?
I say aye.
Say aye. I'm watching if people don't say anything. Okay. All right, finally, the big one. Actually, the last two are the big ones. Our president. The nominating committee has selected Dennis Gomez to be our next president. President is, well, you're up here in front of the room, you represent the club, you start the meetings, you end the meetings. You're also responsible for the Distinguished Club Program, which is how we get these every year, so you're really on task, but you're also the chief executive. So you're the chief executive of the other officers, you run the meeting that we have our officer meeting. It's a really good position. You'll learn a lot. Do I have any other nominations from the floor for president? Okay. Hearing no other nominations, I'd like to move that we accept Dennis as our next president. Oh, I gotta ask him. Second, thank you. Okay, so you're all set, you're almost wrapped up. Are you willing and able to do this president's job? Excellent. Okay, so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good. All right, well, congratulations. Can we congratulate Emery? This is extremely exciting. Yes, Art?
There's a song, Watch Me, Nay Nay. I never realized that was a parliamentary procedure move.
Oh. Okay. Well, putting all songs and music aside, congratulations, everyone. We have our officers for the next year. Next week is the June officer meeting. It's the final officer meeting for the current officers. So next June the 6th, 6:45, we want all of the new officers and all of the incoming and outgoing officers. We're all just gonna be over there in the Hy-Vee, restaurant area, so that you guys were gonna be comparing. And in the meantime, those of you who are outgoing, you need to get with your incoming compadre and do some downloading. Have you gotten the manuals yet?
Not yet.
Okay, there are officer manuals that are coming. Unfortunately, they're not here tonight. So hopefully we'll have them by next meeting. So we'll make sure you're getting your officer manual that describes who does what and where and how. And so that's the main thing, is that you guys need to be the new ones and the new officers, outgoing officers, next Tuesday, 6:45 in the Hy-Vee room. If you want to get food ahead of time, get it ahead of time, but be ready to go at 6:45. You can eat. I mean, you can eat while we're doing that. Just don't, be in the line or something. Is there anything else, Rick, about that for our?
I think you've done well.
Okay. Well, also, we will have an induction ceremony for the new officers. It's only moderately painful, and it's not for several weeks. It's not painful at all, actually. It's very good. Nobody squeals or reacts anymore. Everybody just it's just a painful time of life, I guess. Everybody's used to it. All right, Dan's giving me this sign. All right, well, so thank you. We'll see you next week. Mr. President.
Thank you, Jean. I'd like to thank everyone for coming, especially our guest. And if you're interested in joining, we'll talk to you afterwards. And, congratulations to the new officers. I wish you well. Even though this is only a volunteer organization, you really get to learn a lot, get to accept more responsibility. And I've been an officer for 3 years, different positions, and I feel it's been a great opportunity for personal growth, and I'm sure you'll find that also.
I nominate Rick Starr for immediate past president.
Yeah.
I accept the role, and I'll do it with honor. So if there's no more questions or club business, Art.
Name tag.
Excuse me? Oh, name tags. Yes, there are name tags here. All right, so Leslie, we have a name tag, an official name tag. Why don't you come up and get it? And Kashif, come on up, get your name tag.
Do we have a little holder for him?
Yeah, when we have a holder, and
There's a lot of extra folders.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Any more club business? I declare the meeting adjourned.